Can everyone see my laptop or computer? Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So any questions on last? Any questions? Any questions on anything, guys? Come on. Please ask.
Last class we were blocked on somewhere.
Sorry?
The last class we were doing an exercise and we were blocked. You said you will go and find out the solution.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. User data. Okay, let's do what we have to do today. And then if we have time at the end, we'll get that because I haven't really looked into it. Unfortunately, I took a long time off. I haven't opened up my laptop since we spoke on Wednesday, actually. So let's do something new today, and then when we'll have time, we'll look at what we need to look at. Okay. Okay. Any other questions before I begin? Yeah. Okay. So we wanted to do back end, right? What is the back end? So let me explain. If you look at my screen here in Terraform, have you ever asked yourself why is it that um, Terraform knows that it has created these resources already in AWS, right? So that if you do like Terraform, init, its initializing the backend is going to reuse the previous version of HashiCorp. It's reusing the previous install version of HashiCorp version 5.86.1. So right here, see that? It has a license.txt. It has its copyright or information about the Terraform license. The provider version is in here, right? And then you have this stage file here. This stage file is the brain and memory of Terraform. They're going to ask you in an interview, what is the stage file? The stage file is the brain and memory of Terraform, okay? Um, this this stage file is what keeps track of what has been created in AWS already, right? It keeps track of what has been created in AWS already, so it knows that okay, if you want to create something using this same configuration, you already have, let's say you created three EC2 instances in AWS in your account. When you come now, I want to change the EC2 instance type from T2 micro to 3 medium. Because of this stage file, it already knows. You see here, the AMI that was used, the image type, the instance type, all the information is stored in this stage file. This is the memory of Terraform. It remembers what you created. So if you wanted to change a VPC or change some resource or change something, it will come to this stage file and check. See, you have an internet gateway here. If you want to change the internet gateway um, to a different VPC, something like that, I want to detach it from this VPC, it will come in and say, okay, it's attached to this VPC right here. So if I want to detach it, I'm going to go ahead and delete it from this VPC, and I'll update this file. So while Terraform is running Terraform apply, it locks this file. This file is locked while it's running Terraform apply, so that no one can change the file. You see, it's locked. It locks the file. You see, everything is in here. The SATA block, everything is stored in this file. Everything that you created is stored in this file. So if you ever make a mistake and you don't know what you created, you can come to this file and check this file. Also, by best practice, this file has a backup. You see right here? It's a backup. It's the same thing, but this is a backup file. In case this file gets deleted, there's a backup file. So when they ask you that, how does Terraform know what resources have been created, what resources were deleted, is the state file. But now, all along, I've been creating resources in Terraform for our personal accounts. In the company, when you're working in the company and you have to create, um, when you're working in the company and you have to create resources for the company and you have a team, you work in a team, would you store this state file on your laptop? Would you continue running it like this? And the state file is stored on your laptop? Or would you put a state file in a shared place where everyone can access it? That's the question. Would you put a state file in a shared place where all your teammates can access it? Or would you leave the state file locally on your laptop where you're the only one that can access it?
I think I prefer to put that in the share space.
It's not about what you prefer. It's about what the
Oh,
company does, right? It's a company policy, right?
I prefer to follow the company policy. If
Yeah.
we decide to share that,
The
that's the
company
option.
policy,
What's the company?
yeah, the company policy to share, they put the state file in a shared place.
Yeah.
So what is a shared place that we can put a state file in that we can all access? Someone want to tell me?
S3.
Thank you. S3. So we're going to store the state file in S3. So that is called a backend. So they're going to ask in the interview, what backend do you use? What backend do you use? Backend, right? They're going to ask you what backend you use. So if I open that folder here, I don't think I have that folder here. I'm going to have to bring that code in here. It's okay. I'll just type a new one. So we're going to go create a new folder. We're going to create a new folder. Where's, new folder. Man, I don't like Windows. How do you create a new folder? Uh, Open folder. Okay. I'm gonna create a new folder in here. So new folder. I haven't used Windows in a long time. Guys, bear with me. Terraform. You see what I'm doing? Every time I want to create a new configuration, I want to create something new. You go create a new folder only for that thing. Isabel, you're tracking. You want to create a VPC for the development team. You create a new folder, you call it VPC for dev team. You create all your resources in that folder. Done. You deploy it. You leave that folder alone. When they say go and update the VPC for that development team, you go back to that folder, you see this that location, and you update it. If they say create a load balancer for the marketing team, you could create a brand new folder called load balancer for marketing team. You create, put your code in there, and you deploy it. You keep things separate. You don't mix things together. You don't go and try to create a new Terraform file inside of the development file and create a thing for the marketing team. No. You see, let me cancel. This folder is called Terraform-AWS. I have this code in here. I want to create a backend configuration now for a new deployment. I'm going to go create a new folder. Open folder. I'm going to create a new folder in here called, rename this one, Terraform-backend. That's why I was stressing to you guys in the beginning that Linux is important. I didn't have to even create it here, right? I can come and create it here in a terminal, right? But when you have VS Code, it doesn't matter, right? I can come and do mkdir later. I can come and do mkdir dash p, means it's a parent directory, right? It means I can have subfolders under the directory, and I call it backend folder. And I create a backend folder. ls-ltr, that's a backend folder. Now I'm going to cd into backend folder. And that's it. I'm in backend folder. Now I can go back here now. Inside here is the backend folder that I'm going to create my files. So I want to create the first file I want to create is backend.tf. Backend.tf. That's it. That's it. Right. So we need an S3 bucket to store our state file within an S3 bucket. Okay. I said something that was very important. I said to you, while we are running Terraform apply, the state file needs to be locked, so nobody can change it. So what is something that you can use to lock the state file so nobody changes it? You guessed it. A DynamoDB database can be used to lock the state file so nobody changes it. Okay? You can lock it so nobody changes it. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? So before we want to create the backend configuration, so we can start storing our state file in S3 where everyone can access it. We need to be able to create the resources first, right? We need to be able to create the resources. We need to be able to create S3 bucket. We need to be able to create a DynamoDB database that we can lock the state file. So while it's running, it will be locked. When you run Terraform apply, it will be locked. Because the state file is in S3, all your teammates have access to that state file. If Quasi runs Terraform apply, and then Isabel runs Terraform apply, 1 second after Quasi, guess what will happen? Quasi's Terraform apply will run, Isabel's own will hang. It will hang and wait until Quasi's own finish running, then Isabel's own running. That's the power of S3 and DynamoDB. DynamoDB database is what we use to lock the state file temporarily. It's called isolation. You have to isolate the file and lock it. What am I talking about? Which file? That state file. It's very, very important. This is the most important thing for Terraform. Creating resources and destroying them is for practice. Then on the company, we'll create resources and use those resources. If we want to add more resources or update existing resources, we need to be able to use this mechanism. If Isabel is not at work tomorrow, Kwasi can go into that folder and it's a shared folder because it's stored in GitHub, which is a shared repository of store code. And access it. Kwasi has access to the S3 bucket like Isabel does. He also has access to the DynamoDB database as well. So he's able to run Terraform apply, use the same state file, and do that. So let's go ahead and create that backend.tf. Sorry, I'm going to rename this file to main. Actually, I want to do this. I want to go back to cd dot. I'm back to this folder, ls-ltr. I'm going to remove this backend folder, rm.rf backend. Okay, so I'm going to delete this file as well. Please, are you guys tracking? If you have any questions, please ask me, okay? So now I want to create, I'm going to call this folder in here, mkdir AWS -backend. Remember, Isabel, I'm going to remind you because this is what you normally do. I don't create spaces. I use the dash here. I use the dash here to separate AWS and backend. I don't create spaces. You do not create spaces in Linux. Please do not create spaces. Even here, I use Terraform -backend. You see that? Okay. Now that's a subdirectory on this directory right here. Boom. Now I'm going to create a file here called main.tf. Whenever you want to create everything in one file, you're going to call it main.tf. Like I want to create everything, the S3 bucket, the DynamoDB table, the provider, everything I want to have it in one file. If you want to have everything in one file, it's going to call it main.tf. Okay? So now,
Debo,
yes, go
if
ahead.
I'm not having everything in one file, there won't be need for main.tf. It will just be individual components like ppc.tf.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's perfect. Um, Any other questions? Good questions. Keep the questions coming on. Keep the questions coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. So let's write some code. So this code we're about to write now is to create an S3 bucket and then DynamoDB tables and everything that we need for our backend. So before we start creating anything in AWS, what do we need to do? What's the first thing you need to do before you start creating anything in AWS? What do you have to set? What's the first thing you have to set in AWS before you even start creating your resources? When you want to create things with Terraform, what's the
Provider.
first thing to
The
set?
region.
Go ahead.
The region.
Nope, wrong. Try again. I will
Provider.
I will stay about 20 minutes until
AWS configure.
you must give me the right answer. I'm not doing this today. Come on, man. I've done this 100 times.
AWS configure.
Wrong. I've said don't cram things. Understand how things work. What's the first thing you need to do? Come on, guys. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Come on.
The access. No, AWS. You will see AWS.
Come on, guys. Come on. You have that. You know the answer. I'm waiting for the answer. Come on, guys.
The access key
Provider
and secret key.
configuration.
What's that?
The access key and the secret key.
What was that?
He says the access key and secret key. I think that's AWS configure that
No,
secret.
no, that's not what I said.
Provider configuration.
No. Credentials. You have to use the terminology that you're going to be using on the job. You set up your credentials. Credentials means secret key and access key. You're not going to use the name of the command. AWS configure is a command, guys. It's a command. ls as LTR is a command. If they ask you that, how do you see your files under the folder AWS as backend? What would you say? ls as LTR? No, you would say I list the files. If they ask you, how do you use the file? What command do you use? That's why you give the command name. You have to use the IT language. IT has a language. IT has a language. IT is not English language. IT has an IT language. We've been here since September. We have to use the language. We know what that client-server relationship is. What does a client send to a server? What does a client send to a server?
A request.
Thank you. That's the IT language. You cannot just say a client sends something to the server. And what does the server send back to the client?
Response.
Thank you. Guys, please learn the IT terminology. Google it if you have to. IT terminologies. Terminology. Google, you see, you can even just do that cloud, AWS or cloud. and just study only these terminologies, what it means, the various things that it means, right? Like, or just cloud terminology, what is load balancer, ELB, what is request, what is response, all these words, just all these things, EMR, all these things, right? These words, okay? API, right? All these words, you have to know those things, guys, right? So the first thing, the very, very first thing you do before you even start writing code is set up your credentials. You can either do it in the beginning or you can do it in the end. I prefer to do it in the beginning so that I don't have to worry about looking for credentials. However, let me give you a little warning here. Because credentials do expire after 4 hours, if it's going to take you more than 4 hours to write this code that we're about to write, then wait and do credentials at the end. Guys, I'm giving you things that you will say in your interview. This is how you will say it in your interview, right? You say it depends. I can configure my credential at the end after I'm done writing my code. So then I put my access key and secret key in my configuration for credentials. It will last 4 hours or more because in my company, our credentials expire after 4 hours. So we're using IAM roles credentials. That's what you say in your interview. So I can set it in the beginning and write my code and then run Terraform apply and I'm good to go. Or I can set all my code and then by the time I want to run my code, it's more than 4 hours. I need to go grab new credentials. On the job, your credentials will expire. Here we're using permanent credentials for best of practice. On the job, your credentials will expire. It will expire. Okay? So I'm gonna go to log into my account and I'm gonna grab fresh pair of access key and secret access key because the one that I used in the past, obviously, I put the videos on YouTube, so I do have to delete it every time. Okay. So I'm gonna log into my accounts and grab a fresh pair of credentials. Um, where's Google Authenticator? 1 second here. Authenticator. Need to log into GAuth. Log into your accounts too, right? You're gonna have to do this with me as well. Having difficulties. What's this? I'm locked out of my account. I need to contact support. I'm locked out of my account. I need to contact support. Uh-oh. Um, let's see. Let's see. I am. Let's see if I have any credential. I can't log into my account. I have to contact support. Something is wrong with my account. AWS configure. I have some credentials in here. May be able to use this. Let's see. So let's write the code, okay? Let's focus on writing the code, right? Let's just focus on the code itself. We'll come back to credentials at the end. But again, like I said, don't cram this stuff, right? Be able to explain yourself that it depends on, you know, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're writing some small piece of code that will take you 10 minutes and you write and you run your code, then you can configure credentials now. But if it's going to take more than 4 hours to write some code, you might just wait and configure credentials at the end. Configure credentials at the end. Again, the word configure means what? Do in IT. The word configure means set up. The word configure means run a series of steps. That's what configure means. So you're going to use this word a lot. Don't say I'm going to run AWS configure and I'm going to put my access keys. You're telling the recruiter that you cram this stuff. Don't show them that you're cramming stuff, guys. Please, I'm begging you. Use the words. Listen to what I'm telling you. You say, I'm going to configure credentials. Configure credentials means going to AWS, grabbing access keys and security keys, coming to your terminal, run AWS configure, put your keys in there, run Terraform in it, and then all the way to plan. That's configuring credentials. But we just say configure credentials. Everything is on instead of that phrase. If they ask you how do you do it, then you go deep now into it. Try to keep your answer concise. Don't give them the exact commands. Don't show that you're cramming commands. Nobody crams commands, right? Nobody crams IP addresses. Nobody crams port numbers. Unless they be asking you for specific port numbers and IP addresses, then, but nobody crams that stuff, right? Human beings are human beings to remember names, not commands. So the very first thing is to configure credentials. After you configure credentials, like we just did here, right? Just did configure credentials here. AWS configure. Like I said, you can do it in the beginning or at the end. It's up to you. Access key is there, security key is there, region is there. That's it, done. Now I'm going to use one file. Instead of using individual files for like s3.tf, dynamic database.tf, vpc.tf, I'm going to use one file to create everything because I'm creating a backend configuration. So here, I'm going to go ahead and create one file. This is what I'm going to do here. I'm doing provider. AWS is a provider, right? Remember, you can have Azure, you can have GCP, you can have DigitalOcean, Alibaba, different ones. And then I'm going to do region. Take note, the region here, let me explain this because this might be a difficult interview question that might come. You can set region here like this, right? Region US-East-1, right? You can set region here. You can also set it also in your you can also set configuration as well from your session. So this, what you just set here, we do AWS configure, it's your session. This is a session. But here, when you put it here, this is permanent. Okay? So let's say here you set it to US is 2. And then here you set it to US is 1. What error will occur? Anybody know? What error will occur? Which one will take precedence over which one? Okay, I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna just show you guys the error. Because I like to show the errors and then we'll fix the errors, right? So save that. Next thing, I want to also create required providers. This is something new. We haven't talked about this before. So because we are doing in AWS, when you create resources, right? Any provider, when you run Terraform init, right? It downloads the Terraform version for AWS. So it could be a specific version for AWS. So sometimes that version now it downloads for AWS provider, right? The provider is too far ahead our code syntax. If we keep using the most recent code, most recent version every day, our old code that we wrote 6 months ago will not work with the most recent version of Terraform. Please pay close attention. We wrote code in January or in December of last year. This is February 2025. Terraform has upgraded their version to a new version. The new version uses a different syntax. What's syntax? Syntax is what you see here, like double quotes. This is syntax, double quotes. It uses 4 spaces. How you see here, there's 4 spaces here, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say the new version now uses only 2 spaces, but our old code use 4 spaces. But the new version now using 2 spaces. If we want to run our old code with the new version, our old code will fail. I understand where I'm coming from. Our old code will fail. So to avoid our old code failing, we have to force our code to use a previous version of AWS provider or version of Terraform. So to do that, you're going to type something called required underscore providers. This is an interview question too when it comes to Terraform. So they'll ask you like, how do you force your code to use an older version? Required underscore providers, right? And then backspace back, AWS equal to, you open up another bracket like that, and then you put the source. So this is the location of where we're going to force it to use an older version. HashiCorp / AWS, and we'll put the version I wanted to use. Want to use an older version, something like tilde means something around or greater than 3.0. That's what we're forcing it to use. We want it to use anything greater than what do you call it? Greater than 3.0, right? Equal to something greater than 3.0. That's what I wanted to use. Okay. Let's see, it's complaining about something here. Required provider, I know I expected here. Required provider, it's very old. Let's see. Okay. And then the next thing now, I want to create our S2 buckets now. So resource, you know what S2 buckets resource is creation, right? Resource AWS underscore S3 underscore buckets. And then you have the bucket name. We're gonna call it Terraform state. That's what currently Terraform state. And then the bucket is gonna be called give it a bucket name, DevOps dash I'll give it my name or DevOps dash dev dash TF state, something like that. Okay. And then force underscore destroy. This is very important because so that you can delete the bucket. Because when you create buckets, when you create buckets and you put objects in the bucket, when you try to destroy the bucket with Terraform, Terraform will not allow you to destroy the bucket because there's objects in the bucket. Pay close attention to this. When you create a bucket with Terraform and you upload objects into that bucket, when you want to do Terraform destroy to destroy the bucket, Terraform will not allow you to destroy the bucket because there's objects in the bucket. But if you set false underscore destroy equals to true, it's a Boolean. Boolean is true or false. That's a data type, Boolean. If you set equals to true, when you run Terraform destroy, it can destroy the bucket automatically for you without having to go and remove the objects from the bucket. Okay? So that resource is done. I'm going to Control S. I think Windows is Control S. Save it. And then the next thing I want to create now is versioning. We want to create versioning because you can, like I said, you can have multiple deployments, and every time you do a deployment, you wanna have a new version of the state file so that you don't override the same version of the state file. For example, Isabel did the deployment for a load balancer with 4 servers. She called the state file -1. The next time she go do another deployment to add 2 more servers to that load balancer, she called the state file -2. So because of versioning enabled, you can have different versions of the state file, right? So the most recent state file is the one that everyone knows about and using, right? The old state files are still there, but they are backup files. In case something goes wrong, you can go back to the previous state file. Any questions so far? Is it entering? Are we understanding this stuff? I'm gonna stop there for a little bit. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
It's entering. Yes, it's entering, eh? Okay. Cool. So the next thing is versioning. Resource, want to create versioning. I'm looking at the code on my other screen. I'm not typing it off here. Don't look at me like I'm a genius. No, I'm not a genius. I'm looking at this screen. I'm typing the code on this screen. Okay. I don't cram code myself. No, nobody crams code. Or you can go online and grab the code from Terraform documentation, right? Like terraform.io, and you go grab the documentation, right? But I already have the code. You guys have it too. I gave it to you guys already as well. It's called DevOps Directive. If you want to put the link in the chat so you guys can know the code I'm typing. DevOps Directive. Everybody has it. DevOps Directive. This is the course. I'll put it in the chat right now so everybody has what I'm typing. If I make a mistake, please correct me. Again, I'm not perfect. Mistakes is part of the job. That's how we get paid, right? If there are no errors, they will not pay you. That's what my manager told me. If we don't make mistakes or don't have errors, that means we don't have a job. If everything is perfect, everything is fine, then they don't need you, right? Go home. So it's good to make some mistakes. Sometimes make it intentional just to buy more time. You know what I mean? Just to kill time so that um where is the code I was just typing? Here. Okay, here it is. So I'm typing the main. If let me open up the code I just sent and show you guys where I'm at. So if I click on this link here, this is Sid Palace. He used to work at Amazon. He left and opened up his own company teaching Docker and DevOps stuff. So this is the guy. I think he's in Ukraine. That Ukraine war hit him hard, so started his own company. Doing basics, chapter 3, and then we're on that back end and main.tf. So this is what I'm typing. I mean, I can just copy it and paste it, right? But I'm typing and explaining what I'm typing. So this is your bucket name that you're going to replace your bucket name here. Isabel, when you see replace the bucket name, means replace it with your own bucket name, with Isabel dash fashion bucket name, right? Don't type this exact same thing. Put your own bucket name. So this is what I'm typing right here. Right? Like I said, I can just copy and paste it, but I want to type it because I want to type it. I'm going to explain everything I'm typing. Okay. So this is the remaining of the code. These three. This is a block. This is a resource block. Let me get teaching you the terminology. This is a resource block. This is another resource block. This is another resource block. You see resource, and this is a block. These things here, these things that you see here, on that name, it's an attribute. Billing mode, an attribute. Hash key is an attribute. Then you have another attribute here as well. Rule is an attribute. Bucket is an attribute under the resources. So you have a resource. This is a resource type. The resource type is AWS bucket server-side encryption. This is to encrypt the state file. And then this is the resource name. This is the resource name, Terraform state crypto configuration. And then this is the bucket name now. And then here is the bucket versioning. Here is the bucket name. So here is versioning, right? What are we versioning? We're versioning this bucket. This is the bucket. Here, we're encrypting, we're doing encryption for the bucket. What bucket are we encrypting? This is the bucket. What's the rule that we're using to encrypt the bucket? This is the rule. We're applying this algorithm, server-side encryption, SSE, server-side encryption algorithm, advanced encryption standard AES 256, meaning that we're going to use 256 characters to encrypt the bucket. Encryption means that no one can go look into it unless you have the encryption key of that bucket. That's security, right? Because like I said, this state file is the brain of our configuration. If everyone has access to it, everyone goes and does something to it, boom. You destroy it and we're in trouble. Okay? So that bucket configuration is is very, very important, right? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? I want to just make sure that we understand everything. If I don't want to go too far and then you're left behind. Okay, so next thing is versioning. So AWS S3 underscore buckets underscore versioning. This is where you make typos. This is where you type, you miss a G, you miss something, and then your code starts failing. You see, I might have missed something up here. I don't know, required providers, or if I don't know if it's required underscore providers as required providers, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like something is wrong here, and we'll find out later on, when you see problems here. Because of the extensions that were installed on our VS Code, it's telling us all the possible issues, but we'll fix it at the end, right? We'll run Terraform validate command, and it will validate our code and tell us what's wrong with our code. So let's continue. Um, there's someone that is new in class here. His name is Fotabong Alex. That's why it's from Cameroon. He just joined class today. He's not coming to learn anything new. He's the one actually answered about the credentials. He already knows DevOps, but he wants to just interview with us, right? So he joined. This is his first day. Class ends on March 5th. He knows about it already, but he's just here just to grab some last spill knowledge and then begin interviewing with us. I added into the group yesterday, the WhatsApp group yesterday, so you guys can all work together. And he's just trying to get a job like all of you as well. For Tabang, do you want to say a couple of words where you're from? Let me pause recording. 1 second. Where you're from, where you live, or what motivates you to do DevOps? All right, let's continue with the code. Let's continue with versioning. So Terraform underscore buckets underscore versioning. And then what bucket do we want to version? This bucket that we're creating. So what are we going to do here? We're going to put the bucket. Because we don't have the bucket name yet, we're going to reference the bucket, right? So we're going to do bucket equal to, we're going to do a AWS, and that's called S3. You see it come up from Terraform state, right? So this is the bucket resource type is what we want to version, and then this is the resource name, Terraform state right here. You see that? Terraform state. That's the resource name. And then .id. Why .id? We don't have the actual bucket name yet. This bucket name is going to be created. So we cannot put the bucket name here. But we're putting what will be the output of this creation. The output of this creation will be what? This devops-dev.cf state. And so AWS S3, the resource type, and this is the resource name.id is what will be this ID here. That's what this will be. So we're putting this in so that when that creates, it will automatically version it after it's creating. After it's done creating. Okay. Then now we're gonna go ahead and do the versioning configuration and status equal to enabled. So we're gonna enable versioning. Take note, with the status enabled, it has to be in capital E because it's a string. Enabled. So it's gonna enable versioning. Okay. So versioning is done. Then a resource now for encryption. Now we're going to encrypt the bucket, AWS underscore S3 underscore bucket underscore server underscore side underscore encryption underscore configuration. So many underscores because we don't want spaces, right? So we use underscores. And then here we're going to say Terraform underscore state underscore crypto crypto underscore conf. Conf means configuration, but that's a short form for configuration. Conf. Okay. So when you hear conf, just know that's configuration. Curly braces open, and then the bucket again. So now, same thing. We want to encrypt the bucket. So that's a bucket. So because we've already used ID here, we cannot use it again. This ID refers to what? This bucket name. So we've already used ID, you cannot use it again. So here we're gonna say AWS underscore S3. So 1 second here, let me check this. AWS underscore S3 Terraform state dot bucket. You see? So the various ones you can use bucket. Let's make backspace a little bit. So that you can use ACL, ARM, bucket. We don't want to use ID again, right? We want to create a conflict. So we're going to just use that bucket. And that's it, right? And then now we will have to create a rule for the encryption. Curly bracket open, and then apply. You see, automatically comes up for me by default. And then open up SSE. See that? Autocomplete. That's why it's so important to have autocomplete. Nowadays, you don't need to really cram stuff because autocomplete is there, right? Even Microsoft Copilot, which is AI can write the code for you, right? You don't have to really stress with code writing nowadays. And that's it. Your resource is complete for the bucket, the SC bucket. This is the bucket. This is versioning the bucket. And this is encrypting the bucket. The final thing now is the database. Let me save this. The database to lock the state file while we're creating it. So it's resource. See, even resource comes automatically. So we have AWS underscore Dynamo DB underscore table.
Can you put headings on each after each code?
It's called describing your code.
Yes.
I'm a pro. I don't do that anymore. That's for rookies. Rookies write descriptions in each line of code. It's best practice.
For us when we are like studying, revising, so that okay.
No, understand. That's what I'm saying. Understand what I'm doing. Ask questions here in class. If you want code that has description, there are so many code online that has descriptions. There is. It's available, Isabel. So I'm saying. Everything that I'm typing, is available online with descriptions. There is. I want you to benefit of why are you here. There is this concept people prefer to go study after class. So why are you here in class? If you want code with descriptions, I can give you lots of code with descriptions and you go study on your own. The benefit of class is to ask me and understand these things live in class. So is there something that you haven't understand? Please ask now. I've given you guys lots of notes in the group chat, in the email. I don't think you have read half of those notes. You haven't.
Oh, it's okay. Like I was just like saying, maybe this first code that you wrote there, you said this for the algorithm, like encryption. I mean, like
Mhm.
just put the heading on top up here before resource. You put just encryption. That's all. But it's okay.
Okay, that's your homework. Homework, take this code that we're writing today and put description on each line of them. That's the homework. If that homework is due on Monday, next week Monday, or no, it's due on Wednesday before 7 p.m. That's your homework. Yeah. Because on the job, when you're writing code, you have to put descriptions. I don't do it anymore. I'm a 16-year, 17-year pro. I don't have time for that. If one of the junior engineers don't understand what I'm doing, then they shouldn't be working here. It's that simple. When I write code on the job, I don't put descriptions. If a junior engineer, like I said, we all know what this code is. This you read it, resources, it's encryption. It's encrypting what? This bucket. That's what this code is. And that's the algorithm to encrypt it. Done. This code here is what? Versioning. What is it going? What's the versioning? This bucket. This bucket is doing what? Creating a bucket. That's it. Done. It's very, very straightforward. Like, you know. So if I don't, if you want to put descriptions, please go ahead, do it as an assignment and submit it, and I'll correct you. Okay. Terraform lock. We're going to use this this database to lock the Terraform file. So this is called Terraform and that's called locks, right? And then so 1, 2, 3, 4. It's always 4 spaces. If you see here, even if you don't put the spaces, when you run the command Terraform format, it will format this code for you and it will arrange all the spaces. So you don't have to worry about it spacing. But I'm just telling you that, name equal to Terraform. You see, I keep typing from Terraform dash state dash locking. And then billing mode, because they charge you for DynamoDB tables. You want to take the pay per request method in capital letters, pay underscore per underscore request. Someone asked me, hey, DB, why you type it in capital letters? Because that's how the name is put in AWS console. If you go to AWS console and you go to DynamoDB table and you look at the billing modes that are available, pay per request, it's in capital letters. So we're putting the exact same thing that's in the console in our code. If this was in small letters in the console, we'll put it in small letters in the console. This in the console is in capital letters. So we'll put the capital letters here. This in the console is capital E and then enable. You understand my point? So we're doing exactly that is in the console, but here in the code. We don't change it. If you go put it in small letter and it fails, then you will say that, oh, it's supposed to be in caps. Okay? All of this is in the documentation. It's if you go to documentation, you see it in the docs. Everything is in there. It's in the docs. Okay. I'm not making it from nowhere. It's all in the documentation. Okay. So the hash key, the hash key is the key in which it will use to lock the file. This is the actual column in the table that will lock the file. The lock ID. So every time you run Terraform apply, there'll be a brand new lock ID that lock the state file. Okay? Every time you run Terraform, so you keep seeing multiple lock IDs, lock ID, lock ID, lock ID. So when the file is unlocked, another person will run it, then another new lock ID is acquired. Okay? Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
My question is about the ID and the bucket.
Okay.
Because in my mind, uh, you create a S3 bucket, and this S3 bucket, when you do versioning
Mhm.
and all the other thing, that is everything belonging
Hold
to
on.
this
What other things? What other things? What other things?
encryption,
Mhm.
versioning, encryption, they belong to the same S3 bucket. So why putting the ID gonna be a conflict to in case you run or in case you do Terraform apply for this code? I don't understand this part.
This is what you're talking about. You put ID here.
Yeah,
It's gonna be an
if
issue.
you put ID here, why it's
It's gonna be an issue.
not?
Yeah? That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're using the same thing. Look at this twice. It's a conflict. So I don't know how to say it. It's just a conflict. It's a duplicate.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Because in my mind, I was telling myself that this will be same ID. So the same
ID,
ID.
no. ID means identifier. That's the meaning of ID, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you use can two people use the same ID to get in the club at the same time? Let me ask it again. Can two
No,
people use the same ID to get in the nightclub at the same time?
no,
Can two resource blocks use the same ID to create to do a specific task in Terraform? Can two people, is this person here, it's a different person, correct? This person here, it's a different person, correct? Then this is the bucket. So can these two resources use the same ID to do versioning and to do encryption? When you run
okay. Based on what
when you
you
run
say,
Terraform apply, right? Terraform apply goes and creates the bucket, and then it needs to find the bucket. Versioning will need to enable on the bucket. Versioning say, oh, okay, what's the bucket ID? I'm gonna use it. And then encryption say, oh, what's the bucket name? I'm gonna use the bucket name. If you do ID on both of them, versioning say, oh, what's the ID? Let me go and encrypt it. Let me create version on this ID. If you use the bucket, encryption say, oh, where's the ID? So both of them are trying to use the ID at the same time. I want that cause a conflict. It's going to cause something called a deadlock. Two people trying to use the same ID card to get in the club at the same time. Does it work? No.
no. I get it now.
You get it now?
Yeah.
So the other type of attribute that we can use to encrypt the bucket is the bucket name, not the ID. There are other ones we can use as well. If I do this, you can see if I start typing see, there's domain, but it has to be something that works with this particular resource block. I'll advise you guys to take this course on Udemy. If you want to become Terraform certified, I'm going to give you guys a course right now. Looks like you guys like Terraform, so I'm going to encourage you to get certified in Terraform. Certification by Zilvora. That is a genius. Zilvora is a genius. Get certified in Terraform. $27.99, that's the course. Buy the course, take it, learn it. This is how I got certified to this course. This course has all the questions and answers. And then you go to exam topics. You go to exam topics. And you go to, where is it, provider? HashiCorp. I'll hook you guys up. Not gonna let you struggle. HashiCorp. And you look for Terraform Associate Exam. Boom. 358 questions. You study the X questions, study true or false. Very, very easy, true or false. True or false questions. You study them. If you want, you cram them. Who cares? You see that? Provider name. This is the question. Provider configuration block. You see that? Block. Block. Resource block. Provider block. This is a what? This is a what? A provider block. This is a what? Resource block. I learned these terminologies from the certification. That's how I learned the IT terminology. So if you want to be like me, you can go learn the certification exam, finish the course, read Elevate, right? It's how many hours? 21 hours. You can take 2 weeks to finish it, 2 practice tests, 11 articles. When you're done, you go cram the questions and answers and go pass the exam. Simple as that. And then put the certification in your resume, and I'm guaranteeing you, minimum they'll pay you with this certification is 180. You gotta be it's 180, no less than 180. Because not everyone has a certification. You can see here how many people are taking this course. 26,000 people. How many people have gotten a job? You don't know, right? So this is the provider content block is required in every Terraform conversion. Example, provider block, provider name, true or false. What's the answer? What's the answer here? False. You don't need a provider block in every configuration. Why? Because you use stuff like this. Required providers. If you can hide this one like this, control / and save, and you can use that one. Okay? Or when you configure AWS credentials, like you did here on your terminal, you pass the region in there in credentials, you don't need the provider block anymore. Or you don't have to use provider block if you're going to use Terraform backend, which we're about to see very soon. Okay? That's why the answer is false here. You don't need Terraform block every time because provider block is a very basic, but when you can use different things. Look at that. Terraform apply, the thing to this, all the answers are here. Everything. Terraform init, what does it do? Right? What command does Terraform require the first time you run it without a configuration directory? Init. That's it. It's very, the exam is actually very easy. People just think it's hard, but I don't think it's, I think it's easy, actually. I thought it was hard as well. I took it in 2019 or 2018, so it's been a while since I took it. Okay? Let me put the course in the charts, and you can go take the course and you go succeed. That's the course, and then here is the certification. Don't say I didn't do anything good for you. Please, you guys remember me tomorrow. When you're driving a Mercedes Benz, don't forget me. Don't splash water on me when you see me on the road, please. Don't splash water on me, please. I'm begging. So hash key, let's continue. According to database, hash key, we're going to call the hash key lock_ID or lock ID, right? Just lock ID here. And then the attributes, you see, it comes up automatically, right? Look at that. And then name, we're going to call it. Isabel, all these things are online. All of them is online. You don't need to cram it. It's online. You need to understand it, okay? When it asks you to create a backend, let me tell you what you do. It asks you to create a backend for Terraform. You go to Google. I Google what? Medium. Because Medium is a good site, right? And you type configure AWS Terraform backend. Guess what? Configure a Terraform backend with S3. And all your stuff is in there. Look at that. With descriptions. Better than mine even. I don't have better description. I'm sorry. This one gives you, tell you everything. Look at that. The policies, detail, the DynamoDB database. Look at that. Everything is there. Explanation, creating it, everything is there. The bucket name, everything. Then like when I go back again, I look at another one that has more code. Look at that. More details, explanation about it. Terraform stuff. Look at that Apache log ID, the code, everything, descriptions, tell you what to run. It needs main.tf, everything, additional tips. You go back. How to monitor Terraform station backend. There's so much online that I cannot even begin to find out which one to give you, which one not to give you. Locking. It explains everything, Isabel. Everything is online. Creating an S3 bucket, everything is there, right? Terraform provider, look at that. Required providers, version, backend, everything is there, right? The only importance of you being here is I'm sharing my experience. I'm sharing my experience that I've done it on the job with you. You can ask me questions directly. These guys online that you see, you cannot ask them questions directly. That's the importance of being in class, okay? So the type here is S. The attribute, it's a subscription, right? So we're subscribing to this table. So that's why you put the type here S for subscription. And that's it. I'm going to save it, Control S, and we're ready to go to town. Now, this required provider here is going to fail or is going to complain because I believe it's a version that we're running, right? So, but let's see. And then I also I put AWS US is just 2 here, right? But in the terminal, I put a different region. We are in the backend. I want to cd into AWS-backend ls-ltl. Hold on. This file is not there. Save. Where is this file? Terraform backend. Backend. Yes. Supposed to be file in there. Save. Save. Hmm? Oh, no. I have to move it into this file then. Move. Okay, now it's in there. ls-ltl. Now it's in there, right? It wasn't in the file before. Okay. All right, cool. So let's look at the problems. Unexpected block. Attribute is required after I dot. Line 25, column 44. Line 25. Line 25, right here. Oh, dot bucket. Quasi made me forget to put dot bucket back. Save. What else? Okay, that's it. So the terminal. Terraform. Init. Okay, boom. Let's see. Look at that. A required provider block must be nested inside the Terraform block. There we go. So we're gonna put inside Terraform block. So Terraform, and then copy all of this, Control X, and put it in here. And that's it. So count your open brackets, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we need to move this bracket backwards. Okay, let's save it. Terraform format will fix it for us. Terraform init. Yay, look at that. It worked. You see that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Quasi is engaged. So there's 2 more errors. Unexpected block type required for unexpected here, line 5. But it's gone after the dot. It's still there. It's supposed to be gone, but it's still there. I don't know, for some reason it's still there. Maybe let's save it again. Okay, it will go. Then next in Terraform, format. It formatted it now. You see that? It fixed the lines, the brackets and everything. It looks good now. Next thing is what? Terraform validate.
Error.
Error. Validate. Terraform plan. This is where my fail. Security token invalid. Kwasi, give me some set of keys. Let me do it in your account. Okay. Kwasi, can you send me some access key and secret key? Let me use it.
Okay, let me find it.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute break, guys. So I've run the code. I'm waiting for some access keys now, credentials, and then we're gonna run this. My account is blocked. Let's take a 5-minute break while Kwasi grabs some keys, okay? We'll come back in 5 minutes. take a 5-minute break, grab some water, go for a walk, get some fresh air. 5 minutes break, guys. 5 minutes. Okay, so we got some keys. We're gonna go copy those keys and create configuration here. So you see the error we got? You're gonna get this error a lot on the job. Let me tell you right now. Why? Because you have configured credentials in the beginning. You have written your code. Credentials have expired. This is what you're gonna get when it's expired. Terraform plan failed. Error configuring Terraform into provider. Error validating provider credentials. Error calling STS vehicle identity. Invalid token ID. This is what you get. When you see this error, it means that you don't have credentials to create resources. However, right, you see here configured. I have credentials, but they have expired. So I need new ones. That's why Kwasi has sent me credentials, and boom, I'm going to use it now. So I'm going to paste it. Then I'm going to copy the secret key. I need to call AWS support tomorrow, resolve this thing with my account. So I cannot continue like this. And then see, US is 1, but here is US is 2. I want to show you guys the error that's going to happen. US is 1. Kwasi, you don't have to put anything here. The default output format is the output format of the code. Normally, it's normally JSON, okay? Configure. See, it has changed, right? It has changed from XWV to the new credentials. And the reason is there. You can put JSON, but when you put JSON, that's the default output format anyway. So you don't have to put anything here. You can leave it open, okay? Or you can put JSON if you want, if it makes you happy. If it makes you sleep good at night. So now we have the credentials configured. Where are your credentials stored in AWS? They're stored in this location. CD tilde. Tilde is a key above, next to number 1 on your keyboard. So shift tilde is stored in this location. Dot AWS. Dot creates a hidden folder. Hidden means secure, right? So it's a hidden folder. So right here. ls-ltl. You see that? Credentials. So if we do a cat is to see a file without opening the file. Cat credentials. You see that's the keys. Okay? Kwasi, delete the keys after class. So Terraform plan. No configuration file. I'm in the wrong folder. So I'm gonna go back to documents and then AWS Terraform. Terraform backend. And then AWS backend. So ls-ltl. So and so now the Terraform plan. So 4 resources are going to create. The versioning creates last. Versioning creates last. Encryption, the bucket, and then the database creates last. Sorry. What creates first? What creates first is the bucket, the database, and then the bucket, and then the bucket is encrypted, and then the bucket is versioned. Okay, so now I can run Terraform, apply. Yes. Kwasi, how do you create your Kwasi, how did you create this user is not authorized to perform create table? What resource what permissions did you give the credentials, Kwasi?
Admin.
I mean, should I access?
Yes.
Okay, it says the bucket name already
Oh,
exists.
oh, uh, okay. I have another. I have another one also with administrator access. I don't know because of that.
No, you probably hold on 1 second, just wait. Um, you should be able to create. You should be able to create a dynamic table. This specific error is saying the bucket already exists. The bucket name already exists. So I'm gonna change the bucket name. Okay. Okay, save that and then let's see what's happening here. Why is this thing not going up now? I see why I hate Windows. This error here, right? When you see error like this, what you do, you copy the error and you Google it. You go to Google.
Okay, I think I see now.
What happened? You gave me a credential that doesn't have permission, right?
I went to the console and I see. I don't know why they gave me. It gave administrator access amplified something like that. I don't know why.
No, no, no. Give me administrator access
Okay,
for everything.
I put now administrator access, but I don't know even amplify. I don't know why it's there.
Yeah, no.
You have both now.
Huh?
I say you have both. I add the administrator access now.
Okay. Let me run it again. Test screen. Terraform plan. Okay. Terraform apply dash auto dash approve. And boom, it's creating. So Quasi just fixed the permission issue. So it has created a bucket and everything already. Okay. So now
Like
we'll
in the
have a
job,
backend. Sorry?
you said I fixed permission issues. I say like in the job.
Yeah, like on the job, you fix a permission issue. Someone complained to you that they cannot create resources and you went and fixed it. So yeah, you're a senior cloud engineer now. Um, so that's how we create a backend. Now, how do you use it? How do we use it now? That's the question now. How do you use it? So that we can store the state file in there, right? So let's go ahead and create something very simple. We're going to create something very simple. We're going to use it. Okay. So let's create some very, very simple configuration. In this folder that we are, we'll leave the backend here. We're going to go one folder out there. So now we're going to go create our folder here. So let's just create something. So here we're going to create a file called backend.tf. This is the file that we want to configure to create our code. Okay. This is the file I want to configure to create our code. So here, I'm gonna just watch it, or let me just copy it and paste it since we don't have much time. We're running out of time. We'll try and do better next time. Where's the code? Where's the code? Where's the code? Uh, where is the code? GitHub. Where is the code? Right here. Basics, and then web app. Want to create a web app. So if you're looking here, this is the code for backend, right? Right here, this is the code for backend. This is the required providers. This is the web app that I want to create. All this code. This is just too much to explain. Load balancer, everything. This is a web application, right? This a route is a tree, load balancer, two instance, S3 bucket, right? Database. So I'm not gonna be able to create all that stuff. I want to just create something very basic. So I'm gonna just copy just this block, and then we'll just use that. That's all. So here I'm gonna create backend.tf. So what's our bucket name? Our bucket name is this. So copy that bucket name and go here and change the bucket name here. And then the key, we're gonna call it our own thing, right? We're not gonna use this key. This is the name of the state file. So you can just say, firstly, I'll give you my name, okay? So that when you go into your S3 bucket, you'll see Debo slash Terraform dash state. That's the region. Oh, I forgot to even mention. We put US East 2 here, but in our session was US East 1. Kwasi, where did the resources create? US East 1 and US East 2. Can you go into US East 2 and look for this bucket name, dev-dev.tf state? If it's not there, go look in US East 2.
US is 2.
That's where it created, right?
Yes.
So that concludes that the region that you put in your code overrides the region you put in your session, because this region that you put in your code is permanent. It's permanent, while the region that you put in the session is temporal. It's not. So this region here overtakes this other region down here. Okay? So that's, if they ask you that in an interview, be ready to answer that. Cool. So I've concluded. The region that you put here is the region that you will create the resources in. So the bucket is in USS2. So it means our configuration for backend has to be in USS2. So we're going to come here and change it to USS2. The DynamoDB table name is called what? This is the table name. Terraform state locking. Copy that table name and put it here. Oh, it's correct. Encryption is true, right? Encryption is set to true. So that's that. So this Terraform block has to be here, right? I assume S3 bucket and DynamoDB already set up. So you can just remove this. Description for Isabel. We're going to remove it. So that's the code. Terraform, bracket open, you put your backend for S3, and then you put the required providers here. And that's it. Backend is done. We're going to save the file. Now, in that same folder, we're going to go create a new file called ec2-tf, ec2-tf, and we're going to create a simple ec2 resource. Resource, AWS underscore instance, dash dev dash ec2, AMI. Kwasi, please give me an AMI for Linux, please. Equal to instance type. Give me an AMI from US East 2, because AMIs are region specific, right? Just underscore type. That's it. Save the code. That's it. Done. Put our AMI here. We'll launch it. It's going to create that state file in the backend. However, if you look at this file right here, this file right here is for what? It's for creating the DynamoDB table and the S3 bucket. This is the state file for creating the DynamoDB table and for creating the S3 bucket. Okay? That's what that file is for. Now, Pastor, I'm waiting. That's 111. Pastor, let me know where you have put it.
Can you repeat again, please?
Let me know when you have put it right. Let me know when you have. I'm waiting for the AMI, right? You promised to give me an AMI.
Oh, you need AMI?
Yeah, AMI. I need an AMI. From US East 2. So you see that state file is there. So when we create a configuration now, here, no state file will appear here, guys. No state file will appear here.
I just send that to you.
p2.micro. And then let me copy that AMI. You sent it to you sent it to here. I'll just type it. So the AMI is AMI dash 0 FC 82 F4 DAB C05 670B. That's it. Save that. And then look at where I am. The direction, I'm in Terraform backend, not in here. I've collapsed this. I'm not in here anymore. So this is the backend configuration. That's why that question asks, do you need a provider block every time to run anything? The answer is no. You don't need a provider block, right? You don't need a provider block to run anything all the time, right? So you can use a Terraform backend like this. Do you see the provider block in here? No. So now we're going to go ahead and run Terraform init. Because we have set up a brand new configuration and brand new backend and everything, we're going to have to run Terraform init from scratch again. See what happens. Let me clear my screen. Watch what happens when I run Terraform init. Watch what happens. Terraform init. Initializing the back end. It's now a different back end. The backend is different. The backend here is configured backend S3. Terraform will automatically use this backend unless the backend configuration changes. What is that saying? You will store the state file in that backend. Look at that. It created a hidden folder here for us, right? That has all the providers and everything. It also stored this local state file here, right? That has the backend configuration. Not the resources, but the backend configuration. Okay? So not the resources, but the backend configuration is stored here. So I'm going to close that. So you see here, and then you have this log file. Look at that, terraform.log.htl. This is what I was telling you about, the locking of the file. So whenever you run some code or some apply, it's going to lock this file so that no one can change it while you're running it. This is the Terraform log file that I was talking about. Okay? So now we can go ahead and run the next step, Terraform formats. He formatted that file for us, Terraform validate. Validation successful, Terraform plan. To see what it's going to create. It's going to create one EC2 instance. Terraform plan is asking where or region where AWS operations will take place. Hold on. I didn't put the region in here. Oh, no, I did. Save it. I didn't save it. Or you can enter the region here, US-East-2. And that's it. It's going to create one resource, right? One EC2 instance. And that's it. Right? One EC2 instance. Oh, I have DD dev here. I can change that right here. I can change that. So save that. And so Terraform apply -auto -approve. And then US-east -2. And that's it. It goes and creates EC2 instance. Kwasi, you will share your screen and show us the S3 bucket to show us this file, okay?
Okay.
Show us the S3 bucket and show us the EC2 instance. So go ahead and share your screen, please. Thank you.
You can see now.
Yep, that's the bucket. Go and click into the
Yeah.
bucket. Click into the folder, people. And that's the state file. Click on the state
Yeah.
file. You can't open it because it's encrypted. Or click on the object URL. Right there, object
Or can
URL.
you read again?
Right there, object URL. Down, down, down. Object URL.
Okay.
Click on it. No, not copy it. Click on it. Can't open it because it's encrypted. Now go and show us the EC2 instance.
EC2 instance.
In your
Where
account,
did it?
in your account, Kwasi, in your account now.
Yeah, I'm looking for that.
Go back to where were you just now? You were in S3, right?
I don't know where he's gone.
Where's your account? Where's the S3 bucket you just showed us?
Let me go back.
Kwasi,
Okay.
you're gonna embarrass yourself on the job one of these days. You were just showing us an S3 bucket, and out of nowhere, you don't know where you are.
No, because when I open it, when I click on the file and I close it, so it closed
No,
everything.
anyway, it's fine. Here's the EC2 instance we just created, and you can see the state file is not stored locally on my laptop. It's stored in S3. So backend simply means that everyone can use the file to create resources within the company. So that's pretty much it. In your search bar, search for DynamoDB. Let's go to the DynamoDB database, and you can see the log ID on there. On the search bar up there, type for DynamoDB. Up there. No, up, passive. Search bar right there. Go to tables. To your left. To your left, click on tables. That's it.
Let me see.
Click on it. Click on it. On indexes. Sorry, that's not. Oh, good. No, click on explore items to your left.
Left.
That's it right there. Down there. Log ID string. Click on that. Click on it, Kwasi, not check the box. Click on something means click the link you see. Cancel. Cancel this. There's a difference between check the box and click on it. Click on it means click on it, click on log ID. And then copy it is the next one next to it. Click on it means click on the link, the link right there. That's a link. That's copy. That's copy. Click on it. That's click on it. There you go. See the ID right there? That digest? That's a lock ID. So
Okay.
if you look at this ID and you compare it with the one that we just saw, in my code, the log file, they're the same. So every time you run Terraform apply, it will lock it for that specific run, and it will run it, and then this is the lock ID. You can cancel this. So when I asked in an interview, how do you manage your Terraform backend? You can talk about Terraform S3 backends, and then how does it locking is done? Is that MongoDB table for locking and set file while apply is running? All those things. You can see you've used 2 credits for consumption already. RCUs, it's read capacity units. You have used 2 already. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Terraform destroy now, and it will destroy everything.
So you want me to stop sharing?
You can stop sharing, yes. No, sure. Thank you, Kwasi. Thank you so much. I promise to resolve. Wow. So we're done pretty much. I'm gonna destroy it, and then I'll put the recording, and that's pretty much it for today. We have learned Terraform backends. Terraform destroy dash auto dash approve. Okay. US dash east dash 2. And then I'm gonna go destroy the back end as well, right? How do I do that? I'm gonna go into this folder and run Terraform destroy. Watch this. That's why I say this folders structure is able to separate things, right? I'm gonna go cd into AWS as backend, and I'm gonna run it's destroyed. Now I'm gonna cd into AWS dash backend. I'm gonna run Terraform destroy dash auto dash approve. Your folder structure, you have to know how to organize your folder structure and everything, guys. Folders, differentiation, and structure will help you a lot. Will help you a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. It's a great, great deal. And that's it. Everything has been destroyed. Kwasi doesn't have any resources left in his account. Any questions? We're done for today. Thank you for staying 40 minutes past time, right? I really appreciate you guys. On Wednesday, we'll do some more practice. I will begin Python. We'll begin Git actually. Okay? All right, guys. Have a good night. I'll see you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Thank you, you too.